I mean, this is hugely embarrassing for the IDF. Prime Minister Netanyahu came out with a very strong statement this morning saying he was shocked by that image in which you see a soldier appearing to use something like an axe or a pickaxe to smash into the face of the statue of Jesus in a Christian village in the south. The Israelis have gone out of their way to say, look, this doesn't represent the IDF. It's a multi-faith country, and it's something that they condemn and that they're investigating.
The Israelis and the IDF in particular are facing some pretty harsh criticism, rightfully so, after an IDF soldier decided it would be a great idea to post an image of an IDF soldier destroying a statue of Jesus Christ in southern Lebanon. Now, Cenk, before we jump into the details, I thought the Israelis just hated Muslims. Looks like they also hate Christians. Weird.
Interesting.
Weird.
So in this story, we're going to show you all their attacks against Christians, and there's a lot. But also, I want to talk about how Israel's backtracking, as they're doing here, very unusual, is directly related to how much attention that issue is getting. Because you'll see later stories that you've never heard of. Since they didn't get any attention, even though they're much worse than this one, Israel held no one accountable, did absolutely nothing, and never apologized. And you'll see how, I mean, killing priests and things along those lines.
In double tap strikes.
Yeah, in the most vicious way. So we'll explain that as we go.
So here's another look at the image of the IDF soldier destroying the Jesus statue, which went viral over the weekend. And to your point, Cenk, that's why Israel probably felt the need to respond to the backlash. Now, according to the Jerusalem Post, the incident allegedly occurred in the village of Debel in southern Lebanon. The vandalism took place in a Maronite Christian village, which is strange. You know, you would think that a Hezbollah stronghold wouldn't allow for a Christian village, considering how vicious and terroristic they are. But apparently this Christian village existed, didn't have any problems until the Israelis came along. Now, it's one of the few villages where residents have remained even despite Israeli occupation. And as you can imagine, the image sparked a massive outrage online, followed with, fake calls for investigation by the Israelis. And the reason why I say it's fake is because we've heard this before. This isn't our first rodeo. Israel does something wrong, everyone is outraged, and then they claim they're gonna do an investigation. Everyone forgets about it, and then we move on. And by the way, we have some statistics on their investigations in just a moment. But here's the statement from the IDF. They write, following the completion of an initial examination regarding a photograph published earlier today of an IDF soldier harming a Christian symbol, it was determined that the photograph depicts an IDF soldier operating in southern Lebanon. So they're confirming that this is in fact a real image. The IDF views the incident with great severity and emphasizes that the soldier's conduct is wholly inconsistent with the values expected of its troops. Oh, I've seen what's expected of the troops, and this is hardly inconsistent. The incident is being investigated by the Northern Command and is currently being addressed through the chain of command. Appropriate measures will be taken against those involved in accordance with these findings. Now, Netanyahu acted shocked and chagrined. He said he was outraged as well. Let's go to graphic 5 here. He says, yesterday, like the overwhelming majority of Israelis, I was stunned and saddened to learn that an IDF soldier damaged a Catholic religious icon in southern Lebanon. I condemn the act in the strongest terms. Military authorities are conducting a criminal probe of the matter and will take appropriately harsh disciplinary action against the offender. You know, what's really interesting, Cenk, is I saw some IDF videos over the weekend as well, including a video out of the West Bank that featured IDF soldiers sexually assaulting a little boy who couldn't have been older than 5 or 6 years old. IDF soldier unzips his pants and then drags the boy's head to his crotch. That didn't spark enough outrage for the Israelis to call for an investigation, I guess. But anyway, back to you.
Yeah, so Christians are a huge problem for Israel. Why? Because they've done overwhelming propaganda in America, mainly through mainstream media, declaring all Muslims evil terrorists. And so since there aren't a lot of Muslims in America, that was relatively easy to pull off. Oh my God. And they got everybody all excited, like, oh my gosh, Sharia law is gonna take over Tulsa, Oklahoma. Like absurd, over the top propaganda, but ubiquitous, not just on Fox News, almost everywhere, so that it worked. Now, but you can't convince Christians, and this country is at least 70% Christian, that they themselves are terrorists. That's much harder. And they need America because we're their piggy bank. And we fight all their wars for them. We give them hundreds of billions of dollars, so they can't make Christians upset. Now, the problem is, there are also Christians that live in the West Bank, Gaza Strip, and Lebanon. In fact, there's a lot in Lebanon. So they want to take the Christian land as much as they want to take the Muslim land. They don't really care if you're Muslim, Buddhist, or Christian. They're in the expansion of their country. That's what they're doing. It's called the Greater Israel Project. And that's why they're in Southern Lebanon destroying statues of Jesus. So the only time that they ever come close to acknowledging and apologizing is when it's already an international scandal. But if you didn't see it, then they don't care at all. So I'm gonna fast forward to one particular fact here, and then Anna will give you the rest as the attacks on Christians. Father Pierre El Rai, it was a priest in Southern Lebanon in El Kalaya, where there's a strong Christian community. And Israel, of course, started bombing them because they're in Southern Lebanon and Israel wants that land. So they don't care who lives there. They're gonna murder everyone there or scare them enough to drive them out, as they did in 1948, 67, and over again. Kill enough people so that you can ethnically cleanse them off the land and drive them out. So there's a bombing. Father Pierre, being a good guy, he's a priest, rushes over to the house of fellow Christians that were hit there. Red Cross also shows up. So Israel waits, and once the priest and the emergency workers and the medical helpers show up, boom, double tap, and they kill Father Pierre El Rai. Right before I launched TYT, the doubt was real. What if nobody watches? What if it doesn't work out? I got past those initial hurdles, but when we launched our Shop TYT store, the doubts came back. What if people don't like the designs? What if nobody buys anything? Making those leaps of faith was one of the best decisions I've ever made. And it helps when you've got a partner like Shopify on your side. Shopify powers 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from big names to brands just getting started. You get hundreds of ready-to-use templates to build a beautiful online store that matches your style. They make it easy to change your online store so you can feature new designs. And Shopify's AI tools write product descriptions, headlines, and even enhance your photos. Plus, their purple Shop Pay button, it has the best converting checkout on the planet. Fewer cart abandonments mean more sales for you. Everything from inventory to shipping to returns, all in one place. It's time to turn those what ifs into with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/TYT. Go to shopify.com/TYT. That's shopify.com/TYT. And so of course somebody's been arrested over that. No, I'm kidding. No one's ever arrested. There's never any accountability since America and Christians across the world didn't make that much of a big deal out of it. Oh, who cares? It's just a priest. I care. I think a lot of Christians care.
Of course.
But our media is like, shut up. You're all anti-Semites for caring about a priest being murdered by Israel.
They just won't cover it. They bury the story and they pretend like the real problem are those dangerous Muslims. I mean, how many segments has Jillian Michael done about like, oh, there's Sharia law in Texas? I'm sure there is, Jillian.
Yeah, of course, and Tapper and Bash and all of them. The real problem is the Muslims. So when Israel keeps murdering priests, which I think is way worse than the statue, that's a real human being in a double tap strike, right? Yeah. Core evil, but our press,
Which makes the second half of Netanyahu's statement so enraging, because he wants to deflect from the wrongdoing of the IDF soldiers and instead continue fear-mongering about those scary Muslims. He says, while Christians are being slaughtered in Syria and Lebanon by Muslims, wait, let's pause for a second. Oh, you mean the new regime in Syria that you guys wanted? Remember when you got the United States to arm Al-Qaeda or Al-Qaeda offshoots in Syria in order to topple Bashar al-Assad because Bashar al-Assad was friendly with Iran?
I remember that.
You guys did that with our help. Congratulations, but let me continue. The Christian population in Israel thrives, unlike Elsewhere in the Middle East, not true at all.
They get spit on, literally.
No, even worse than that. Okay, there's the Armenian quarter. Armenians are overwhelmingly Christian. They deal with physical attacks and assaults from unhinged Israelis on a regular basis. I want to give you some more examples, actually. So let's go to this post by Steve Sweeney, where he says in November of 2024, Israeli soldiers from the Golani Brigade desecrated the St. Mema church in the Christian village of Der Mimas, southern Lebanon. Soldiers staged a mock wedding ceremony, danced and simulated sex acts inside the church. The Israeli military said the conduct was contrary to its values. And if you think there's no way that happened, this is totally made up, he has receipts. He posted video. Let's take a look.
הגענו לערב הזה אחרי כמה זמן של זוגיות? 6 שנים. כאן בטקס הזה. הרי אתה, רן, תשים את כל... אני מתנגד! שקט! סונין, אני אוהב אותך!
So there's an example for you right there, and there's more. So Sweeney, well, let's take a look at this next video. We'll keep my mic up so I can explain to them. This is additional footage from Steve Sweeney, a reporter, who's done extensive reporting in Lebanon, and was, by the way, targeted by an IDF strike recently, and luckily was not hit. But this is footage of a church that was destroyed by Israel in Lebanon in October of 2024. At least 8 people were killed in these attacks. And let's go to one more example, another video, take a look.
We're in the small southern Lebanese border village of Sarada, and I want to show you how badly this church has been absolutely desecrated by the Israeli forces. You can see here that there's a bunch of graffiti on the wall, but I think actually that's probably the least offensive thing that we have seen in this church.
And it's not just in Lebanon. Why don't we actually take a look inside Israel? The Religious Freedom Data Center documented at least 201 incidents of violence against Christians, primarily committed by Orthodox Jews, targeting international clergy or individuals displaying Christian symbols between January of 2024 and September of 2025. So in a year and a half, 201 incidents involving violence against Christians.
That's weird. It's all the things they warned us the Muslims were going to do to Christians. It looks like Israelis are doing to Christians.
Strange.
Oh, it's almost like every Israeli accusation is a confession. So Netanyahu, what does he do in that response that Anna read you? Okay, maybe we're desecrating a bunch of Christian places and murdering Christians, but it's the Muslims. Muslims do it worse. So he's constantly deflecting. Remember, everyone, hate the Muslims, but we're so worried about anti-Semitism and bigotry. No, you're not worried about bigotry at all. You just want supremacy. And so you think that we should all serve you. And now I say that, and that's how a lot of people would catch feelings over it. So let me explain. The majority of Jews, especially in America, don't believe that they're the chosen people. And they just think that that's some sort of like, hey, we're chosen to carry a burden or whatever, things along those lines. At least every Jewish person I know, and I know a lot, right? So, but we know mainly liberal Jewish folks in America. Now, a lot of them don't know any Israelis either, right? And what they don't realize is that the culture in Israel has slipped. It's not like Jewish people across the world and in this country. So a lot of them are secular and liberal like us, right? But more of them these days are religious fundamentalists and yes, supremacists. So for example, the settlers do believe they're the chosen people and they don't think it's symbolic. They think, no, we were chosen by God and we are superior to you. So you're like cattle to us, whether you're Muslims or Christians, you're just on our land and we're here to murder you as God directed us, because they're deeply fundamentalist and deeply supremacist. Now, are those people, some of those people also inside the IDF? Absolutely, obviously, right? And are they part of Israeli leadership? Of course, Ben-Gvir, Smotrich are two of the biggest fundamentalists there is, let alone the Katz, who's their defense minister. So they've taken over a giant chunk of Israeli society, government, and military. That's why you're seeing what you're seeing here. It's not enough to destroy the churches, you have to desecrate the churches. And what you might not have seen is in Gaza, they purposely dug up the graves of all of the other religions. There's Jews buried in Gaza, they left those graves alone, but under the pretense of looking for hostages, they desecrated Muslim and Christian grave sites.
So disgusting.
Just to rub it in on how superior they are than the rest of us. Now, don't hold that against random Jews that don't believe that, right? But giant portions of the IDF and the Israeli government does believe that, and that's why you're seeing the atrocities that you're seeing against Christians as well as Muslims.
So let's talk a little bit about Israel's internal review process, shall we? Because they claim that they're gonna do an investigation, that someone will be held accountable, but is that true? I mean, think about how emboldened IDF soldiers feel, because they're the ones who are posting these videos of themselves. It's not like anyone hacked into their email or their phones and found this footage. No. They themselves are posting it on social media, right? Okay, well, that's because they know that it's unlikely that they're gonna face punishment, and the numbers certainly bear that out. So between 2016 and 2024, according to figures from the Military Advocate General, which oversees the process of investigating wrongdoing, a total of 2,427 complaints were filed by Palestinian residents of the West Bank against IDF soldiers. Those complaints resulted in just 552 investigations being launched, representing 21.6% of cases. Indictments were served in just 23 cases, 0.9% of the total number of complaints over 9 years. They can't even hit a 1%. They can't even hit a 1%. Okay, of the 696 complaints filed to MAG in which a Palestinian was killed as a result of IDF action, 195 investigations were opened, but just 2 of those investigations resulted in indictments, just 1% of such cases. So you can take your internal review process and shove it. Now, the only reason why they'll say that they're launching an investigation is because they know that this is really bad PR. Let's take a look at the last video here.
This does not look good at all for the Israelis, and it's going to be circulating online in the US as well. We know who will take advantage of this. IRGC accounts already talk about this, posted everywhere. Definitely Hezbollah affiliated accounts, and this is again another incident that is going to make a lot of bad portraying of the IDF, especially in terms of when it comes to the Christians that Israel wants to be, beside them. After all, Judeo-Christian values, all of that. Definitely the Israeli relationship with the US and with the Christians in the US. So this is again part of the issue here.
I love going to Israeli press because they're so much more honest.
Totally.
So that brother is just saying there, yeah, I mean, we need to sucker Christians in America to fund Israel. And who cares that they're smashing Jesus to pieces? We don't even believe in that guy at all.
To be fair, he didn't say that, but he did say this is bad PR.
No, yeah. I'm implying, you guys saw the video, you know what I'm saying. I'm implying that he thinks he does it. What he didn't say, let's be super clear, is, oh my God, this is desecration and really wrong and immoral. He said it's bad PR for Israel.
Exactly.
Okay, so Christians, whatever, right? But remember, those are the suckers we're robbing in America. We've already robbed them of $320 billion we put in our pockets. We've robbed them of $8 trillion to fight all of our enemies. And we call it a global war on terror. It's only our neighbors they attacked with their money and their military, right? So hey, cool it on hating the Christians or letting them realize we hate the Christians, right? So I want to mention one other spectacular case because I forgot about it, but one of you figured it out. Mike or Dave wrote in, thank you, brother. He wrote in, Shireen Abu Akleh wasn't just a Palestinian American journalist. People forget she was a Christian Palestinian American journalist. And it was Biden who didn't give a crap and genuflecting to Israel crosses party lines. Every part of that is correct. And so Biden never held the Israelis accountable. And Trump has never held him accountable. On top of all this, guys, this is not about Christians or Muslims, but 10 Americans have been killed in the last 3 years in the West Bank, and we have asked for zero accountability. We have not demanded that anyone be arrested, including for the murder of Shireen Abu Akleh, who was an American and Christian. Why did Biden or Trump not ask for the murderer to come to justice? We know and have admitted that it was an assassination.
And Biden isn't even named in any of the Epstein files we have access to. He just did it for the love of the game.
Yeah, and he did it for the love of the money because AIPAC was his #1 donor throughout his career. That's why every once in a while, for no reason, Biden would come out and go, I'm a Zionist, I love Zionism. It wasn't just Israel and we special ally, no. Of all politicians in my lifetime, he was the most adamant about how much he loved being a Zionist. He would get a check after every time he said it, right? But hey, our media never told you that either, right? Did you remember seeing on cable news how they're the #1 donor to Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, Mike Johnson, #1 donor to all of these leaders, but our media says, shh, don't tell anyone. Otherwise, how are we gonna rob the sucker Christian Americans and be able to kill them and desecrate and destroy their churches and totally get away with it and have them send us more money? So that's exactly what's happening there. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.